Rudy Ford did not participate. Limited were Kenny Clark, Elton Jenkins, Aaron Jones, Quay Walker, Christian Watson, Jaire. Full participation were Yash and Runyon.
Was Jaire able to do it today?
He was limited participation. He did a little bit of Indy, he did all of Indy, and he did some teamwork.
Was that the plan all along, or did you just find out today that he'd be able to go?
I thought that was one.
With the shoulder and without you guys doing any contact and stuff this week, how do you know if he can go? Is that?
Got to rely on the medical staff and the player.
Matt, yesterday you referred to Keenan Allen as a monster. Just curious why that choice of term and just what's made him so good for so long.
Yeah, he's got great size, great range. I feel like he's one of the best against press coverage in the league. He's got unbelievable release ability and short space quickness. He's rangy. He can make contested catches. There's nothing he can't do. There's a lot of elements to his game that remind me of Devontae. And I think he's a guy that is one of the more elite players in this league at that position.
And it seemed like Clay was playing pretty well before he got hurt. What do you need from him coming back? You need that plus some from him?
Yeah, we need somebody that's going to come out there and cause some turnover opportunities for us, and he's shown that he's capable of doing that. So hopefully his physicality, his mindset that he brings, he does a great job at punching at the football. We just need more of that, I would say, defensively and on all our coverage units.
Do you think there's a place or opportunity to use McDuffie once Walker comes back and you have Campbell? Can you still use him on defense, or is it just, he's behind two guys?
No, we've done that in the past where we've had different packages for those guys, and that's something that's always on the table. I think Isaiah's done a great job when he's come in and played at a high level, and certainly you feel his play style. So absolutely, that could be part of the plan.
What did you think of Anthony Johnson a couple weeks ago, just in case he has to go start again on Sunday?
Yeah, he did a great job. He had a huge takeaway on the tip pass, and so I thought he played at a really high level, and I think he's a good young player that continues to, the more experience he gets, the better he shows.
How do you think Rasheed Walker has responded to how things went, a couple weeks ago with Yash coming in, and then he's had to play, yesterday against some good competition? How do you think he's reacted to that?
Yeah, I think like we always talk about it. You can either go in the tank or you can kind of, set your mind the right way and try to prove everybody wrong. And I think that he did that. So it's still a competitive situation because I thought Yash went in there and played well, and we'll kind of work through that as the week goes and into game day.
Red zone, you guys started off really well the first 3-4 games, and you've tapered off from there. How do you get back to that level?
That's always a tricky one, because if you really break it down, there's been some, not to say that we have not been good enough, especially last week, but there's been like some situations where we end the game versus the Rams in the red zone, and that counts as a missed op. So I wish there was a way you could take out some of those outliers to really get a good look at it. It still hasn't been good enough. I'm not saying that. I think a lot of what we have to do down there is, most teams that are successful in that area that do a good job, they run the ball efficiently. And just thinking back to a week ago, we had a 2nd and 4, we hand the ball off, we lose a yard, now you're in 3rd and 5. You have to get at least 2 yards in that situation to set up a 3rd down and 2 or whatever it may be, because we all know 3rd downs are tough in general, but especially in the red zone. The further you get back, obviously, the harder it's going to be to convert. So we got to be more efficient running the football is what I would tell you. And then when we do throw it, you got to find a way to get completions just to give yourself a chance.
Well, if you do, if one of those teams like lets you score at the end of the game, that'll count as a.
I know that would be phenomenal, right?
So it all evens
But
out.
usually when teams are letting you score, you really don't want to score. So, but it is interesting how that works out sometimes. And but I'm not sitting here and saying we're not good enough. What's interesting is I feel like in the goal to go, we've been pretty successful. I want to say we're one of the tops in the league, and it's just. But the red zone it wasn't good enough last week. That's for sure.
Tucker Kraft has seen an increase in snaps the last couple of weeks. Is that more trust in him, or just because of game plans where you're wanting to use more two tight ends?
Well, I think he's done a nice job. He's improving on a weekly basis, so he's earned those opportunities, and we expect that to continue. And I think there is a learning curve for every player in this league, especially young players. But I think he's starting to hit his stride a little bit, and he's showing improvement in areas that we need him to, and hopefully that continues throughout the course of the regular season.
Matt, what have you seen from AJ the past month? And him breaking that 40-yarder, just what do you think that can do for him being able to have an explosive like that?
Yeah, I think he's done a much better job in terms of running with better pad level, finishing forward, breaking tackles. I think it's a combination of a few things. I think we've done a better job up front coming off of football. Certainly, I think that's going to be a big key in this game. I think you look at the Chargers. I feel like they do a pretty darn good job. I know last week kind of was an outlier. They give up a 75-yard run and a couple other explosion plays, but for the most part, they've done a pretty good job. Against the run, especially when you start watching the tape. But we're going to need it on every level. Wideouts, they do a really good job in run support with their safeties. Obviously, Derwin James he's a monster as well. That comes down and they're very physical. But AJ has, to answer your question, he's done a better job of just running with better pad level and contact balance and finishing those runs.
You're number one in goal to go, by the way.
Thank you, Bill.
So what I was going to, I could have asked this last week too with Watt and Highsmith, but with Mack and both of those are two ball strippers at
They did a good job.
Do you have to do more with Jordan on weeks like this? I mean, he's been pretty good, obviously, anyways, all year.
Yeah, both those guys. It's not even just those two guys. Those guys just happen to get to the quarterback the most. It's really all their guys. You can see it when they get to the quarterback. They do a really good job at trying to rake at the football or punch at the football to create those strip sacks. And it's not just them. Gilman does a heck of a job. He's ripped a few balls away from the back end at the safety position, and they do a really good job. I think they're leading the league in forced fumbles, and I think 15 takeaways on the year, or whatever it is. I want to say nine fumbles. So they do a really good job of emphasizing that, and they got really good players to go out there and execute it.
You have 2 games in 5 days. Obviously the days in between the games are going to be.
I'm not worried about the second game. So I just know we have one game on Sunday.
I was just curious if that changes your approach even leading up to game 1, just to kind of be careful with the guys.
Yeah, I think you have to be mindful of that, but I think if you focus on anything other than the task at hand, then it's probably not going to end up well for you. And this is a very talented team coming into Lambeau, and I mean, shoot, they went toe-to-toe with Detroit and kind of had them on the ropes, and so we're going to have our hands full with this football team.